Welcome to Franchise Empires. So, I sent you that tweet before we talked, man, that you and JT were going back on, and listeners of this show are familiar with JT, but JT was talking about how, first-time franchisees might have to deal with buying a job, and you commented saying that you agreed with that, because at the start, that's what it takes. However, you were doing, 45,000 miles and 15 to 20 nights on the road a month. And when we last interviewed you, that's kind of the stage you're at. You were at 5 guys, you're at 20. What has it kind of just been like, man, going through that scaling, and are you out of the woods of that kind of pain at this point?
Yeah, so I mean that's a really good question, right? Like I think it changes more so than like I think I'm out of the woods. What I've really realized is, the evolution of being a business owner, multiple locations as your staff grows, the challenges become different. So in terms of like 45,000 miles on my car, every week on an airplane, kind of a deal. I would say, yeah, largely that part's over. We've grown a ton since then, but there's a lot of new challenges, right? Like learning how to, manage employees and implement culture, kind of down to the store level when you're more distant from it is a huge challenge that I'm constantly working on. You're solving bigger problems. You're now looking at, instead of being so fixated on, four wall costs of 5 restaurants, you're looking at how do we negotiate, more contracts that kind of globally encompass all of our restaurants and reduce costs. And so like, you're maybe flying for meetings versus to the store, or maybe you're doing them on Zoom, whatever. But I think the challenges just become different. And I think I'm kind of at a phase now where I don't know what the next challenges are. I just know that they're going to come. Like, I'm kind of like okay, we've done the part of like hustle, grind, scale. Now I'm in this phase of like, okay, we're renegotiating a bunch of vendor contracts, trying to get, benefits of scale, etc. And I know there's more coming down the road that I'm not seeing yet. And I'm kind of just looking at like, what are the next things?
Yeah.
But I would say I definitely feel more like a business owner now and less like, a district manager than I did when we last interviewed, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. It's funny too. I mean, most people would think, 5 guys is still pretty impressive. So it's incredible, man. You've 4x that. And this was not even, maybe it's coming up on 2 years probably since that interview, or close to it. But,
Yeah.
when you're talking about these challenges like negotiating vendor contracts, and kind of whatever else you're facing, do you get help with the scale you're at from corporate? Is there 5 guys corporate folks, at the franchisor level who are kind of walking you through from like the business side of things of how you should be thinking about it? Or is it more you and maybe you lean on franchisees within the network to kind of make these decisions? Because if you're a first time owner, it can be just a lot to handle on your own.
Yeah, I think it's both. I definitely think like as we've scaled, I would say like we're I don't know the actual franchisee breakdown off the top of my head inside of 5 guys, but I'd say like we're not a small group anymore. We're not the
Yeah.
largest group either, but we're large enough where there's more eyes on us, I think, a little bit. And also with that comes, you know, it's easier, not that, being smaller, you can't get kind of in the circles or whatever you want to call it with the right franchisees and people at the corporate level. You can definitely do that. I think it just gets a little bit easier with scale to get in some of those circles. More people know who you are, whatever. In terms of like what I think a good franchisor does, and I think 5 Guys has really recognized this through COVID and after COVID, and they've done a really good job of kind of adapting the support that they give to franchisees. And they, from being, initially when I had 5 stores, it was very just like hands-on. They were helping you with 4 store wall operations, right? How do you make burgers, making perfect fries, helping you train
Yeah.
your crew on all the operational pieces. As they've grown and their franchise base has grown and their franchisees have, grown and gotten more sophisticated, they've also adapted to now where they still have that support, where like they have people come in that will help with those kind of things, but they also have, a franchise business manager that will help kind of look at your business more holistically as a, look at financials, help understand and see how you're comparing to other franchisees they might oversee, and help you understand some of that better. That's one component of it. I don't necessarily rely on that. I think they do a good job, and I really think they care about our business from that perspective. But also, I think the best practice and the best information I get comes from connecting with other franchisees. We've got Fast Act happening in California. And comments aside from that, I was on a call yesterday with a bunch of franchisees in California. We share similar geography, and we're kind of all talking about what we're doing in terms of how we're going to manage our staff going forward, pay rates, are we going to create ceilings, what we're doing with pricing. We're all kind of collaborating together, and I think that's where the best practices really come from.